Today, we're going to take a look at my 1987 Carvin DC135. So first, let's check out this body, because this is an extremely sexy body. The DC bodies, they changed a lot over the years. Take a look at this hip to waist ratio. It's perfect. We've got metal points on the edge. And like I said, as time went on, these guitars, they got much more conservative every year and a bit non-binary. So I still go back to the 87 and think this is when they were truly sexy. The body itself, it's smaller than an 88 or an 89. And the reason it's smaller is because, take a look. See that line right there? Right there, that line? And can you see, there's also a line running straight down the body. Because in 1987, they were building these things as set necks. The neck was glued in to a two-piece body or maybe a one-piece body. This one's a two-piece body. And then in 1988, they quit doing this. They started making the neck-through body guitars. So this is the last year of seeing it this way. Also, if you take a look at this wonderful headstock, you'll see it actually has the 1988 logo. So this was probably built at the very end of 87. Right here on the headstock, we've got some 12-to-1 ratio tuners. They're not locking tuners. Next, we've got the FTB6 bridge, which looks a lot like a Leo Kwan badass bridge. And take a look at this. We've got fine tuners. We also have two screws that allow you to move the bridge further back, which is great for intonation, especially if you're going to tune low. You even have brass saddles on this bridge. Now, this guitar, man, I'm running out of breath holding it up because it's heavy. It weighs 8.5 pounds because the entire thing is made out of Eastern hard rock maple. Next up, we had an M22 SD in the bridge, and we had two H11s. And I thought they sounded like shit, so I took them out. Next, we've got a black ebony fingerboard, no die. Nickel silver jumbo frets that maybe they were jumbo in 87, but they're not jumbo anymore. And we also have mother of pearl dot inlays. The guitar itself is 24.75-inch scale length, like a Gibson Les Paul, and it's a set neck. But this guitar plays like a neck-through body guitar. The carve and the heel is phenomenal. Okay, so here's the M22 SD that I took out of this guitar, as well as one of the H11s that I took out of the guitar. One thing I discovered when I took this one out was on the back, it has a label on it that says Tone Master New York, number 25 of 59, North Coil Rewound. So that tells me that someone rewound this pickup and they think they're a tone master. So maybe they are. Maybe they're the master of chicken picking. And I'm not hating on the M22 SD. I have an M22 SD in this guitar right here, and it sounds great in this guitar. This guitar is neck through body, all mahogany, Honduran mahogany. All right, so as I mentioned, I did buy this on the used market, and it did not work out the way I had hoped it would work out because we don't live in the timeline we used to live in. Some things have shifted massively, and most things just, man, they don't always turn out, do they? But anyway, I've owned a lot of Carvin and Kiesels in my life. In fact, I've owned 14. 10 of them I bought directly from Carvin Kiesel through the years. And my first purchase was in 1987. My dad ordered me an M22 SD pickup to put in my first guitar. So, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because used to, if you grabbed a used Carvin, you know, on the aftermarket, you would get a case queen or you'd get something close to it. And that's what I'm saying, the timeline has shifted. That does not happen anymore because I ordered this from Vintage Emporium Warehouse on eBay, and the listing was so nice. Oh, it plays excellent, it plays great, minimal wear on the frets, sounds phenomenal, just, they were lying about everything, and no return policy. I got this guitar, took it out of the box, didn't even come with the correct hardshell case, came with some generic case just thrown in. The frets ruined, every one of them. They would grind, you could not play anything on it. It sounded so bad. Because of the grinding, you couldn't bend, you couldn't do anything. And intonation, they said the intonation was perfect. There's nothing perfect about this shit. Like, it's terrible. But the funny thing was, I didn't seem to care. Like, I think I've got accustomed to things just not always going right anymore, so I was just I laughed about it. I was like, man, look at this listing. What a bunch of bullshit. They're telling me it's great and it's not. Anyway, I did write them and I said, look, this guitar is not playable, and they gave me $100 back, which isn't great because I paid, what was it, $890 for this. Gave me $100 back, $790. I didn't even care though. I was just like, whatever, that's life. Let's I'm now the steward of this 1987 historic relic. So what did I do? I called Sweetwater and I said, hey, I've got this guitar. The frets are terrible. I want to get it fully plecked. Cost $100 just to ship it to them. $300 for them to do the work. That's $400. Add that on to what I've spent. Now the guitar plays phenomenal. Lightning speed action, super low action, 0 fret buzz, perfect intonation. So then I took the pickups out and replaced them with 2 DiMarzios, and now this guitar sounds great now. It's got that short scale length, so you can shred like hell on it. It turned into a great thing in the end, $1,414. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these older guitars. They're not always a good deal. This one though, I just wanted to restore it. Once I got it and I saw all the damage, I was like, you know what, let's restore this and make it as good as it can be. And now it sounds great, it plays great. Here's some advice. When buying an old school Carvin guitar, try to get a return policy. Try to buy from the original owners. I would avoid buying from flippers. They never know what they have, and they're always asking way more than what the guitars are worth. And I know you're sitting there going, nah man, Carvin, they make quality guitars. They're worth $2,000, they're worth $3,000. Yeah, they might be, but you could just turn around and spend $2,000 or $3,000 at Kiesel and get the exact same thing with the specs you want. So it just does not make sense to buy the old ones sometimes, as a lot of them are extremely bright sounding, and a lot of times you're going to want to replace the pickups to get a tone you like. That's not always easy. I had to modify this pickup ring to get that pickup in there. I actually had to route it out to fit that in. Oh, motherfucker. Same goes for this one here. I didn't have to route it out, but I had to put 2 new holes in it to fit it in. So keep in mind when you're looking at older Carvins, a lot of times you might have to change those pickups out, and it might not be as easy as you think. Did I mention that Kiesel, their pickups don't suck anymore? The Imperium, the Thorium, the M12 SD sound great, and they let you send pickups in to put in your guitar now. So if I were on Reverb looking at a $2,500 Carvin, or even Kiesel for that matter, I'm not going to pay that when I can just go to the company and buy it myself. So those are the things I would consider when buying these old Carvin guitars, and I have owned a lot of them. So if you have any questions about them, just feel free to ask me in the comments. Otherwise, you're just going to be chicken picking all day.